And we're back. And let's go right into a very good game that's near and dear to my heart. The Baltimore Ravens are traveling to New York to face the New York Jets. And guess who's at the quarterback position for the New York Jets? Joe Flacco.
Joe,
There's something
Joe,
about
Joe, Joe,
Flacco.
Joe, Joe.
Something about Flacco. Just a good
Oh, I
pocket
love that.
passer. Yeah, Lamar's good, but
Oh, let's
something
listen to
about
that.
Flacco. Anyways, Joe is playing Baltimore for the first time since he was traded back in 2018, I believe. No, 19 maybe, the offseason. Yes, I believe
Sounds
it's
about right.
after 18. The injury report for this game, Ronnie Stanley is doubtful for the Ravens. He was on the practice field this week. That's their big offensive tackle. Gus Edwards out. J.K. Dobbins is questionable. We talked about that, how much we think he'll play. Zach Wilson's out. The Ravens are 6.5 point favorites. This has gone down. I believe it was at 7, but 6.5 point favorites. What do you can go
Yeah,
ahead
I
and
mean,
take.
obviously, I'm in on the Ravens in this game. The spread itself, I'm not gonna lie, that's a big number, and it worries me a bit just because it's Joe Flacco and just that storyline just worries me about the number. But I am obviously on the Ravens here. I did take the Ravens in a survivor pool that I'm in with
Oh
some of
boy.
my guys from work, so I am in on the Ravens. I need them to win week one to keep me alive in that. Running back wise for Baltimore. We talked about it already. Wide receiver wise, hoping to see Rashad Bateman step up and really take over that role. Obviously, Mark Andrews as well. Um, Jets, I think having Joe Flacco really helps Elijah Moore. I know we'll talk about him Elijah Moore some more later, but I'm definitely I'm definitely on the Ravens this game.
Jake Wills, I think will get a big week from Lamar Jackson. I think it's a big Lamar fantasy week. Just with everything going on, he finally gets
Yeah.
to go out and play for the first time. Remember, end of the year with an ankle injury, did not play the last 5 games of the season, I believe. But uh, right now in Derek's lineup, he does have J.K. Dobbins in. Let's see if he pivots from that. Singletary was burned already, so he can't put him in there. So his other options right now are Damian Williams for New Orleans and Naheem Hines for the Colts. Tough start for Derek.
Yeah,
No other
talking
running backs on
talk
the roster.
yeah, I was talking with him earlier actually, and we were talking about the J.K. Dobbins thing, obviously, and I believe if he doesn't end up playing, Naeem Hines is going to be the play, and he said hoping for a touchdown, hoping for a little Matty Ice dump off to Naeem Hines and something good to happen. So that's not ideal for him, but tragic.
All right, moving on from that game. How nice is it? Back to back on the window. From my Ravens to your Manders, Jacksonville travels to Washington. This is Trevor Lawrence for the first time in a nice setting. I want to see him do well. There's no Urban Meyer, none of that nonsense going on. The spread right now is, where is it? Here we go. It's 2.5. The Manders are favored at home by 2.5, just a field goal. By the way, let me go back and say I was picking the Ravens. I'll take the money line on the Ravens. Anyways, back to the Manders.
Yeah, I mean, like we already talked about a little bit, it's just electric. I mean, it's just an electric
This
matchup
is
week
exactly
one.
what you want to see on week
This
one.
is what people were expecting. I mean, I'm surprised it's not America's game of the week. But from a fantasy standpoint, Terry McLaurin should have a day. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who in the secondary in Jacksonville is going to be able to stop him as long as Carson Wentz has got his head screwed on right. I mean, I don't see how we lose. How we're favorite?
Oh,
We're only
interesting.
favored 2.5, which is kind of disrespectful.
You're not liking that, huh?
I mean, it's just a little disrespectful. I mean, what did Jacksonville do? I mean,
They had spent the most money as anyone in the
oh
offseason.
my
That's what
god.
they
Well,
did.
I'm not referring to the offseason. I was more referring to last year, like their record. I mean, Trevor Lawrence
Sure.
had like 8 touchdown passes.
I think it was 12. Let's calm down.
I'm sorry, but I just from a football standpoint, if Washington starts off 0-1, and then we have to go play Detroit after this. So if we start off 0-1
Ooh, I
against
love Detroit in that matchup. We'll wait
Jacksonville,
till week two.
I'm gonna be upset. Antonio Gibson should have a day as well. I also like Christian. I also like Christian Kirk on the flip
I
side.
was gonna say Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk on the flip side. Who knows? Evan Ingram might be a little tight end flyer we can keep an eye on. Obviously, we want to see what
Yes,
happens
definitely
in
keep an
the.
eye on him.
We want to keep an eye on the Jacksonville running back situation with ETN and James Robinson. So there's definitely
ETN
some
is
things to keep our eyes on in this one.
ETN is currently in the lineup for Diego out of necessity because he auto drafted and he only has two running backs. So
Oh
there
yeah,
is no other option, even if James Robinson ends up taking the bulk of it. I would say highlight Jahan Dotson. Did you say that?
I did not, but that's a good
Yeah, yeah.
point.
Keep an eye on the
Definitely someone to
rookie.
keep an eye on as well.
Kind of want to see how it shakes out as far as the second and third option go. Whether it's him. Remember, who came over from Carolina and signed? And he had a pretty injury riddled season. What's his name? He came from Carolina and he was a
What position are we talking about here?
wide
Wide
receiver
receiver?
for the Manders.
The white dude?
Nope, he was black. He was good friends with DJ Moore.
Oh, Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel. You got to
I
keep an eye
thought we
on
were
him
talking
while I
about
cut the
like,
rest of that
yeah, that
nonsense.
was really stupid. But I thought we were talking about somebody way deeper down on the depth chart because
No.
there's a lot of Panthers that have come over to Washington. And I think there actually is a white. I'll have to look it up. There's somebody that's lower down the depth chart that is from Carolina as well. But obviously Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, be interested to see what Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson how that shakes out as far as those snaps go.
Yeah, for sure. I
Uh,
mean, I'm taking Washington, laying the 2.5. Little disrespectful in our own home building. We'll probably have at least 5,000 fans, maybe six.
you know what? I'll
We
take
better start.
Washington
We
too. I'll
better.
take
We better
Washington
start
too.
one now. All right, cool, cool.
Cleveland travels to Carolina in a big revenge game for Baker Mayfield.
I'm actually
Uh,
excited for this game.
if I'm not mentioning injury reports, that means there's nothing that's really worth putting on there like this one. Nothing really to talk about fantasy wise. Actually, I will say Jack Conklin is questionable for this game. Big tackle for the Cleveland Browns. He does play a big part in their running game. Besides that, not a lot. This game, this seems like a really boring fantasy game. I'll be honest. As far as the Cleveland side goes,
That's what I was gonna say.
I don't like
Carolina,
Amari
I'm
Cooper.
excited.
I like the secondary in Carolina. I don't think Amari Cooper does a lot. I think this is Nick Chubb. You know, if they
This is another
win,
game with some people to just keep your eye on though, because David Njoku, we're gonna see what happens with that with Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, Amari Cooper, neither one of us are high on, but we'll see what happens, with his usage.
yeah.
And both running backs, I think, are startable in just about every format.
Carolina wise, you got Christian McCaffrey, hopefully making his uh, return. Now, I made a joke in the beginning. He was on the injury report. A cleat cut his shin. He's perfectly fine. He should be full go this weekend. I like DJ Moore a lot. We get to see him with Baker Mayfield on the main stage for the first time. This game is a straight pick 'em. Even spread, money line, minus 110 on both sides.
Give me
I
the
think I'd pick.
Panthers.
I think I picked the Panthers. Yeah, revenge game. You can't account for the revenge. You can account for a revenge game.
I
Baker
think I heard
Mayfield.
it on Pardon My Take where they were saying nuts grabbing Baker Mayfield is back when he was on the sidelines of Oklahoma
Well, he's
playing
not.
Kansas,
Yeah,
grabbing his junk,
yeah.
calling him his daddy or something like that. I
Uh,
don't remember what he's doing, but I could see that coming back because he gets angry. He takes so much stuff personal, and I know he's pissed off with Cleveland. So I think
uh.
Panthers by 9.
Oh my god. Well, I guess look out for David Njoku as far as passing. See what type of targets he
Mm-hmm.
gets on the Carolina side, passing wise. Pretty much more. I don't think anyone's really looking too deep. Robbie Anderson. I mean, I think Moore is kind of your main guy you're looking
Yeah, no,
for.
thank you.
So we'll move on. Colts at Texans. You know what? I'm gonna say right here, my start of the week, Jonathan Taylor at Houston.
Oh, that's a great pick.
That's a great pick.
That is a great
Uh,
pick.
Nothing fantasy wise injury to talk about. The Texans are +7 at home, so 7-point dogs at home against the Colts. We'll get to see Matty Ice throwing it up to Pittman. I don't think there's a true number 2 there in Indianapolis yet, so that'll shake out. Colts are pretty much favorites here. Not a lot to talk about
Yeah,
with
I mean, I'm
Indianapolis. You kind of have
excited.
your
I'm excited
obvious
for the Davis Mills, Brandon Cooks connection to see how that goes week
Damian
one.
Pierce is
Damian
RB1.
Pierce,
Yeah,
yes, forgot about that actually. But I think the Colts are going to win this game. But the 7 is another big number,
it's a big
and
number.
I don't want to say that they're not going to cover because they very well could win by like 14 plus in this game. So
How
I
about this?
think I
I'll
would.
take the. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I think I would lean to the Colts laying the points and riding with the 7, but that's a great teaser spot right there to turn that 7 into 1.
I think I'll take the under 45 and a half. I think both teams
There
just
you
pound the
go.
football and they get out of there. Uh, Not much more to say about that. Here's another
Yeah,
one that doesn't have
no.
a ton to talk about. We got Giants headed to Tennessee. The number 1 pick of the Giants is doubtful. Thibodeau. I don't know if you saw that hit back in the
Yeah.
preseason, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the only injury thing that's even remotely talked about. Spread Giants are +5.5 on the road At Tennessee, we get Derrick Henry's return.
Yeah, I think Derrick Henry runs all over the Giants in this
Yeah.
game.
I guess you
Sa-
could.
Saquon's going to need some receptions out of the backfield, I think, to stay relevant in this game as well.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
guess keep your eyes on what goes on in that the
yeah.
passing game of the Giants. I don't think someone said it earlier today on a podcast I was listening to. I think someone catching footballs in New York will get maybe around 10 fantasy points. I don't know who.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Hopefully
Daniel Jones.
Kadarius
It's a new
Toney, because it
offense.
would be nice. It would be nice to see Kadarius Toney not injured and actually doing something in the passing game. But obviously, Daniel Jones needs to be a big part of that.
Yeah, right
I don't.
now
I
Tony
don't
is
think
off
there's
the
really
injury
that much
report,
else.
so not much else to say. Big old Bob Woods, we'd see him first time
Yeah.
with Traylon Burks. Big old Bob Woods should be the number one over there in Tennessee. Here's a good one: Packers at Vikings. We get to see the best quarterback in the NFL, Kirk Cousins, who's quarterbacking my team. Uh, he gets to start against Aaron Rodgers. Let's just talk about it. Alan Lazard's doubtful, and
Yeah.
David Bakhtiari is questionable. Not a lot to talk about Minnesota injury wise. This is a pretty close line.
I mean, it is
Minnesota at
not
home.
looking good for Green Bay here.
No, Minnesota is plus 1.5 at home. So Green Bay still favored. They have Rodgers. I don't. I
I
don't
mean, I
know.
know Green
I don't
Bay's
know who you're
defense
starting
is
wide receiver in
amazing,
Green
but
Bay. I don't know who you're starting.
I mean, if you want to throw a flyer in like a DFS, like a daily fantasy, I think Romeo Dobbs is a great choice there because he's been the only guy to stay healthy throughout. I mean, obviously Sammy Watkins, who always goes off week one, that we may all just be that
Week
might
one
go right
king.
over everybody's head. But I mean, Romeo Dobbs has been the only guy to really stay healthy that's been talked about. Christian Watson's been dealing with injury. Now Alan Lazard is doubtful, probably not going to play. I mean, when you get downgraded from questionable to doubtful this late in the week,
Not
usually you're
looking
not
good.
playing.
No,
So I mean, give me the Vikings.
I would like the
I mean, you're
Vikings
starting
too.
all the obvious Vikings, all the like special position players on the Vikings you're playing. So I mean,
Look at Irv Smith. Look at KJ Osborne
yeah,
for
Irv Smith's good to
possible.
go as well.
Look at those guys for possible waiver claims. See what they do. Obviously, everyone else, the normal crew, is getting started in that game. A lot of stars in that one. Next game, Chiefs.
What's your pick there? I'm sorry, who
I'm
you
thinking the
got?
Vikings plus 1.5. I like
Yeah,
that.
I'm in there as well.
Chiefs at Cardinals. Another interesting one as far as fantasy goes. Oh, let me tell you the
I love this game for fantasy. I mean, this
uh
should be a shootout.
big injury report. We got Ertz is questionable, Rondale Moore questionable, and then JJ Watt's questionable on the defensive end. You know he's
The
when
only
he's out
name you
there.
didn't say, I'll bring him up in a little bit.
Okay. The Chiefs are -6 in Arizona. Seems pretty big.
That
I
is
know people are a
big.
little kind of hopping off the Arizona bandwagon as of lately. Kyler was paid, but I guess, this
I want the points here though. Arizona just starts seasons hot. They were
they
like
do.
11-0 last year to start off the
They
season.
kicked the shit out of Tennessee last year in week one.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Didn't Chandler Jones have like 5 sacks?
yeah, something like that.
He's not there anymore.
Taylor Lewan was like the laughing stock of the NFL for 24 hours.
Turnstile City.
Yeah, I mean, I like the +6 here. I don't know who's gonna win, but I'll take Arizona.
I don't know who's going to catch footballs. Who's going to be the main guy catching footballs from Patrick Mahomes besides Travis Kelsey? That'll be the big thing to see. Is it
You
Sky
know who it
Moore?
is.
Is it is it Marquez
Oh,
Valdez
it's MVS,
Scantling?
baby.
Is it Juju Smith Schuster? I guess we'll find out. I don't think MVS is in someone's starting lineup in this league.
Derek's, I believe he's Derek's flex.
He is. MVS is Derek's
I
flex,
wish
and
he
he
was
has
on my team,
Kelsey.
but
So
I
he's
have
doubling
Hollywood
down
Brown,
there.
obviously, in my wide receiver 2 spot. Your
That's
favorite player in
disgusting.
the
That's just
NFL.
disgusting. You want to move on to the next game?
Yeah, let's
We're
keep
down
it
to our
rolling.
last three. Raiders at Chargers in a rematch from
God,
last
another
year. The
spectacular game.
last game. This is a great game for fantasy.
So good.
Injury report. JC Jackson's questionable. That's a big cornerback. Big offseason purchase by the Chargers.
I
Besides
don't.
that, nobody on the Vegas. Vegas is +3.5 in LA. Who knows how many fans will be there? Because I don't know how many fans the Chargers
Yeah.
have. But
I
I do believe that Hunter Renfro is going to have a good game. I
There you
actually do
go.
believe that. And you know what?
That's your flex, I believe, right?
I think Hunter Renfro finishes as he's at my flex. I think he finishes the top, a wide receiver two at least, top 24 this week.
Yeah.
Is that crazy to think?
No, that's not crazy. And I mean, this game in general, except for the running backs in Las Vegas, because we've heard so much like if Josh Jacobs is going to get a full workload, this and that sort of talk because of Josh McDaniels being there now. That's the only question mark and the thing that I'm really worried about in this game. I think every other person, like on the Chargers, on the Raiders, is all locked in starter based upon where you drafted them. Derek Carr could even be a starter for guys who waited on quarterback here. I mean, I love every aspect of this game except for the Las Vegas backfield.
Yeah.
And
That's
I mean,
probably
I'm
the
riding
only.
with the Chargers. Chargers are my Super Bowl pick this year, so I'm riding with the Chargers all season long.
I'll go Chargers -3.5 as well. Sunday night football, Buccaneers, Cowboys. Michael Gallup's not playing. Godwin obviously questionable, but this late game probably not. Dak Prescott comes in at questionable, but he's playing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come out
Russell,
hot, and
go
this is a
ahead, go
terrible
ahead.
thing for me. But Dallas is winning this game. I watched these two teams play Week 1 last year, and it was a shootout. It was a great game. And if anything, obviously, wide receiver wise, Dallas is worse at a worse point than where they were last year. But I think where it matters a little bit more in this game because of in the NFL, like if you have a stud wide receiver one, you can usually get by with some lower end like wide receiver twos and other pass catchers, and they have a good tight end in Dalton Schultz.
You're damn right they do.
So, so I think with the Bucks losing their center, what was his name, Jensen,
Yeah, Ryan Jensen.
Ryan Jensen, and just having less depth and less veteran play on the offensive line is gonna hurt Tom Brady. And I
Yeah,
think that the Cowboys are going to get it done week 1. I think Dalton Schultz, I'm playing against them. You have him. I think he's a smash play at the tight end position this week as well.
the boys are +2.5 at home, so they are dogs to Tom Brady. But
And they're in Jerry's world. I mean,
I think
I think they're
I'll
going to start off 1-0 this year.
I think I'll take them to cover. I don't know if they'll win, but I'll take them to cover. I think it's a close game. And then finally, that leads us to our Monday Night Football. The Broncos. Russell Wilson heads back to Seattle.
Let's
This
go.
should be. I think this should be a blowout. To
I
be
know.
honest, it's
I
six
can't
and a
wait for
half.
this game
The
though.
Broncos are -6.5 on the road. Uh, this is what we want to see. You have Sutton and Wilson. I have Judy. We'll get to see Alberto. We'll get Javante Williams. A
Yeah,
lot of
Alberto's sitting on
stars.
the waiver wire right now. Actually,
As far as Seattle goes, Rashad Penny we talked about because I believe
I have a lot of people in this game.
Ken
I have
Walker's
DK Metcalf
questionable.
as well. I'm not
Ooh.
starting him, but I have DK Metcalf on my bench.
Yeah, Ken Walker's questionable, like we said, probably not going
Hmm.
to play. So Penny, and then we'll get to see what DK and Tyler Lockett can do
With
in week
Gino.
one, in year one without Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
So,
I'm on the Broncos here though. I think that's obvious.
my Broncos -6.5, and so that's the full slate. Do you want to get
Yeah, that was
into
awesome.
our fantasy matchups?
So let's do it. Let's run through that real quick. I know you got Lur's picks.
I do. I have Lur's picks for
Let's just run.
preference.
We don't have to talk about them too much. Let's just run through them. Then we can get to our starts/sits of the week.
Sure. So I have I went through, this is before ESPN puts out a line with their projections. So I got all the lines, and Lur, his name is Tyler Tightno. He's actually brother of a member in the league, Derek Tightno. But I went through, and Lur's pretty good at sports gambling. So I went through, I showed him every roster, and he made picks. So this is before the Thursday Night Football. So, for example, Joe has 30.2 points after Diggs. Well, this was made beforehand. So start of the week with the projections. Joe Briner, my Cox a flopping 20 mg versus the Macho Man Randy Savage, Nick Testoni.
Oh my God.
I was 2.9 favorite. He took the spread. Lur picked me at -2.9. I'm gonna be keeping track of Lur's picks all year.
Lur. Little did
I
he know Stephon Diggs is going off for 30 points.
yeah, so I will be keeping track. Let's just highlight big players. You got Wilson, Diggs, obviously. We'll see Sutton and Joe Mixon.
We have the Sutton Judy difference there, and I obviously
Yeah.
have Russell Wilson. So I do like that having the quarterback. If Judy's going to do something, I'm going to at least get a little. I'm going to get a crumb of that. So
For me, the big players here: Kamara, Swift, Higgins, and I'll even say Schultz. Next matchup, we have the Squeegee Boys, Bryce Phobel taking on Hooked on a Thielen, Jake Wills. Coming into the week, Bryce's team, the Squeegee Boys, were +2, around 2.5. Now this game has taken some points already with Gabe Davis playing, but Tyler didn't like the Lions at either. He took Bryce on a straight win. So I will be keeping track of Lur's picks all year. Bryce took straight win for the Squeegee Boys. The Squeegee Boys, big players: Mahomes, Henry, Mike Evans. He's also got Mike Williams, On the other side, hooked on a Thielen, Jake Wills has obviously Adam Thielen, Austin Eckler, and Lamar Jackson. Plus Javonte Williams is a sneaky flex right there. Don't forget about him. Next matchup, Papa Commish, Andy Collins takes on not second place victory lap, Andrew Atkins. A couple of former champions playing, including the defending champion. The line came in to start. This was pretty much a pick 'em. 0.8 difference, and it was to Atkins, who was he was
Wow.
plus 0.8. And so
Okay.
pretty much a pick 'em. Lur took Atkins, his big
Wow.
players, Rodgers, David
I'm actually
Montgomery.
surprised about that.
Yep, he's got Debo and Jamar Chase on the other side. Andy has got Jonathan Taylor, and he's also got Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman, and he got a dud from Dawson Knox.
You know,
Also, shout out Jalen Waddle.
you saying that just made me realize that he is Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman.
Yeah,
I did not realize that.
yeah. Well,
This guy's colded up.
this guy, he's gonna pick up Matt Ryan in week
I
3.
know. Might as well. The
Next
mega
matchup,
stack.
the warmest cuckolds, Will Spano taking on 34 Dainty Ducks, Derek Tightnow. Now, this pick could be thrown in there for very questionable as far as brother to brother. Maybe a little bias, especially with the start, because Spano got a hot start with 11 points from his defender, Bobby Wagner, and 33 from Allen. But obviously, he picked before this happened. Now, coming
Yeah.
in, Derek was a 3.5 point dog. He was plus 3.4,
Dog.
and that's what he took. So he took Derek to cover a plus
Collusion.
3.4.
There's got to be
His-
collusion there.
Had to be. Tom Brady, a big guy for Derek. That's his big guy. He's also got Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks, Travis Kelce. Running back wise, he'll have to figure it out. He's got Zeke and Dobbins. On the other side, Spano got a big performance on Thursday night from Josh Allen. He's got Najee Harris and Terry McLaurin. And then Kyle Pitts will be, I think, a big make or break to see which way this one goes. And leads us into our final we got 2 more. Second to last matchup. Jackson Edelman, Milk with Ice, Part 5 against Celiac Attack Sam Smith, the guy who was on the show just last week. Or no, it was earlier this week on Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
So this line was exactly at 2, and Sam was -2, Sam Smith. That's what Lur took. He took Sam Smith, Celiac Attack -2, his big players, Herbert, McCaffrey, Barkley. He got a dud from Allen Robinson, but he's got Aaron Jones in the flex. On the other side, Milk with Ice has Kyler Murray, a brutal backfield led by CEH, but he's got Justin Jefferson and DJ Moore and Mark Andrews. Now, finally, to our last matchup, we have the auto-drafted team of barely legal teens with Diego Grijalva against the team that gets the most airtime on this show, the Soup and Sammys. Coming into the week, this was the biggest line. Diego -9.5.
The
And
auto draft is
The auto draft was
absurd.
big. And by the way, since Thursday Night Football, it's only gotten bigger since Cam Akers played.
And he has Cooper Cup. Diego has Cooper Cup.
Yeah, so he didn't want to touch the line here. He went money line, straight up. Diego winning money line. Diego's big players, obviously Cooper Cup. He's got Joe Burrow, James Conner, and Hawkinson. For Soup and Sammys, they got Jalen Hurts and Dalvin Cook, Tyreek, and Darnell Mooney. So that is going
Let's
through.
go. That was awesome.
Those are Lur's picks.
That was really
probably
cool.
gonna try to bring that back all year. Have him. I might even get him on later in the year for audio to go through and explain his picks a little more. But we will be keeping track of that, and that should lead us into our last segment of the day.
Sits, baby.
Anybody pay attention to Viking football? 84 don't stretch on game day.
So,
All right,
yeah.
Joe, you want to start off?
Yeah, let's get right into it. So, just to preface here, we have our starts of the week and our sits of the week. Our starts of the week are guys that we just see that are going to be great plays this week. They have great matchups, good outlooks. Our sits of the week, sometimes they're going to be guys that you drafted so high that you're going to have to play them. You're not going to actually be able to sit them. But there are guys that we are looking at here that just don't have the greatest matchup. We don't see how good of an outlook they're going to have this week, and we could see it being a down week. So jumping right into it, I'm going to go with my 2 starts of the week. First one, Testoni's favorite player in the entire NFL, the man with the best hands in the NFL. He's one of the fastest guys in the NFL. Testoni, you want to fill in the blank for me?
It's Hollywood Brown, and let me just add with some breaking news.
Interrupt this program for an important news announcement.
That this is an even better pick because officially Rondale Moore has been listed as out for this
There we
Sunday's
go.
game.
And that just brings me right into one of my points. Obviously, I was just kidding about the first couple things. I mean, he's a great wide receiver, but he doesn't have the best hands in the NFL. That's just nonsense. But Rondale Moore is out. That's great for this. Zach Ertz is maybe on a snap count if he plays, and he might be out as well. Hollywood Brown is going to have to pick up the slack. He's going to have to be the guy in Arizona in what I expect to be a shootout game between Kansas City and Arizona. So I love Hollywood Brown week 1, getting off to a hot start with Kyler Murray. My second start of the week, I'm just going to hop to my second guy, then let you go, Tessoni, is Brandon Cooks. We talked about the Davis Mills, Brandon Cooks connection. They're playing against the Colts. The Colts should be able to run it down the throats of the Houston Texans, to be honest, and get ahead early. Davis Mills and Brandon Cooks are going to be a great connection for fantasy this year. I do not know if it will correlate to wins, but they will be a great connection to fantasy this year. I see a lot of garbage time of Brandon Cooks' future week 1 and through the rest of the season. So those are my 2 starts of the week, Hollywood Brown and Brandon Cooks.
All right, so for my starts, first off, I'm going to go with Elijah Moore, wide receiver, second-year wide receiver for the New York Jets. Obviously, they're playing my Ravens. Elijah Moore really separated himself from the field here to be their true number 1. I mean, I think in a negative game script with Joe Flacco, who I think he's shown connection with during the preseason, I feel like you have a good chance to get, if you're going to play a Jets wide receiver, it's Elijah Moore. I think he can get a couple of nice points for you early on. And if this thing kind of gets out of hand where it's the Jets are trailing for the majority of it, I think he's the main target in a negative game script for the New York Jets. And then my second guy, I'm doubling down on the Elijahs. I'm going Elijah Mitchell. He's listed as healthy, full participant off the injury report. And I think now you don't like the 49ers against the Bears, but I think the 49ers are going to run the football, especially if they're going to try to ease Lance into it. I think they run the football all over the Bears. And again, with game script, if they do get up, they are going to keep feeding Mitchell. And I think Mitchell will get into the end zone. So I believe Elijah Mitchell and Elijah Moore are good starts this week. And I'll go right into my sits.
I just want to say one thing real quick. If Justin Fields outscores Trey Lance, I will be making sure that the world knows. But if he does not, I will pretend it never happened. Go ahead to your sits.
My sits, I got Chris Godwin. I mentioned it earlier. He's on Monday night or Sunday Night Football, so it's even tougher. I know he has a projection right now, and it looks good, but just sit him. You should not have. If you drafted him to be one of your top 2 wide receivers, you're probably running back heavy, so you can figure something out. I think Chris Godwin is a very easy sit this week. And then also Travis Etienne. James Robinson's back, apparently. I mean, this guy is Superman. He's coming back from Achilles in January. How the heck he's
going to be back week 1.
So he's back from Achilles, and I just don't know what that's going to look like. And you know what? I think the Commanders had a very good defense 2 years ago. Not a great one last year. I think they bounced back
last year.
I think they bounced back. I don't think it'll be the easiest team to run on. Maybe a little easier to through the air, but I just don't like that matchup for Travis Etienne in his first game back, especially when we don't even know. I mean, James Robinson might outsnap him by a ton. Mm-hmm. And then finally, my last sit is Harold Landry III. He's still on a roster. Still on a roster. He tore his ACL. He's an edge defender as Diego's 5th pick off defense. I'm thinking you sit him this week, Diego. He's probably either just had surgery or about to go into surgery for his damaged ACL. I don't think he's a good play this week, and that's all I got for sets.
At the very least, let's slap him on the IR or something, so he's not taking up a
actively taking up a roster spot right now.
This is absurd. But get into my sits. We're starting off with Breece Hall here. We're going to go ahead and put Breece Hall on the bench. I mean, I know there's been a lot of hype for him as a rookie running back coming to the Jets, but I think they're going to be in a negative game script against Baltimore. I don't think there's going to be that many people that would argue with that. And Michael Carter is the pass catching back, if not still the number 1 back overall. It's still not locked in that Breece Hall is going to take over from week 1. So I like Michael Carter this week. I don't like Breece Hall. We're going to put him on the bench for me. The second guy is Josh Jacobs. I mentioned it when we talked about the Raiders versus Chargers. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a Derek Carr versus Justin Herbert, which I think Justin Herbert will come out on top here. But I think this is going to be a passing game. I think Josh Jacobs, although I do believe in him for a season-long outlook, and I think he still will be the guy, with it being kind of up in the air with if he's going to get all the passing work or if other guys like Amir Abdullah are going to come in and get this third down work with the Raiders. I think Josh Jacobs is a sit for now. Obviously, if you drafted him as like your RB2, you're going to have to play him, and I don't think he's the worst play ever. But if you have the ability to play someone else in at your flex, I would try to do so.
And that is the start and sits.
Yeah, I mean, what a great episode, dude. That was so much fun going through all these games,
going
through our matchups in fantasy. I loved it. That was so much fun.
A lot of energy today. Obviously, we'll check back in with Lur's picks
Yeah,
on
and
Tuesday, see how he went. Well, actually, we won't know it completely because we recorded day before, so we'll be recording on Monday.
yeah, so we won't know the final. We won't any games that have Monday implications. We won't know, but some of them we'll know.
Yeah, and so we'll be back on Tuesday to talk. I guess we'll talk
We'll be
about
recapping everything that we just talked about. Basically, all of Sunday we'll be recapping, bring up some news, any injury news, all that sort of stuff.
We'll go back to the board to see if Justin Fields can outscore
Justin
Trey Lance
Fields.
in fantasy.
Justin Fields
Yeah.
over Trey Lance this week. Come on.
And
Let's go, baby.
then we'll be talking waiver wire ads for week
I'm
one
excited
too,
for week
which is
one
usually the
waivers
biggest
as well.
one.
Yep.
All right, so that is it.
I just want to put our Twitter and everything out there real quick. Twitter is at EastsideFF. If you can follow us on there. I know for right now we're kind of with main listeners like our guys in our leagues and our friends, and we really appreciate everyone that has been listening and letting us know that they're listening and that they've enjoyed the show. We really do appreciate it. But for anybody else that fantasy football community as a whole joins in, it's at EastsideFF on Twitter and at Eastside Fantasy Football on Apple Podcasts. We've been dealing with some technical difficulties on YouTube. So for people that don't have like iPhones and don't have Apple Podcasts, we're really sorry. We are trying to get it on to YouTube again. We've had some difficulties getting it on there, but we plan to get it on there as soon as we can with the upcoming episodes.
Long story short, on YouTube, it's probably going to come out in parts. It'll be segments based how they come out on YouTube from now on. But for now, throw us a follow on the Apple Podcast. Throw us a follow on Twitter. Share it with your friends. I'm Nick Testoni and Joe Briner. When we come back to you, week one will be pretty much in the books.
Let's go,
and
baby.
Fantasy's on its way.
I
This
can't
was
wait.
the East Side Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm out. Joe, send us out with a nice
Yes,
little
sir. See you on Tuesday. Good luck on Sunday.